Let's talk about another retailer that is betting big on the holiday season. Best Buy, of course. We've seen that stock up now more than 10% in this session. Interesting commentary coming from CEO Corey Berry, saying essentially that there hasn't been a lot of a big shift, at least in the behavior or purchasing behavior of their customers.
Yeah, one thing that I really classified this as earlier on, and I continue to think about with Best Buy, is they already know, or at least have been able to read through the tea leaves to really understand where consumers have already purchased a lot of those electronics that may have gone into their homes. Akiko, we had been broadcasting from home, many of us working from home or being educated from home for an extended period of time, and even doing some of those home renovations at that period of time. So less refrigerator necessity or demand at this point. Perhaps less of those surround sound speakers being sold and televisions. So what does that mean? This is actually impacting the inventory, but in an interesting side, the inventory actually declined over at Best Buy, which is different than what we had seen in other retailers. And my assumption, and this is something that I would give the management team credit for, is perhaps anticipating that there would be less of that demand, and so not stocking up as much or not purchasing as much that you would have to then churn through. And so that inventory was down year over year, and perhaps they were able to kind of look through what that demand profile and cycle was like, and this is where we see some of that low replenishment rate actually come into play. So there you're taking a look at the inventory versus some of the other major retailers that we have heard from over the course of this season. And then just lastly, in their guidance, they're now expecting comparable sales to decline approximately 10% with regard to the fiscal year 2023 updated financial guidance that they gave at this most recent earnings report too. Akiko?
Yeah, the inventory load you talked about, Brad, something that's been so consistent with retailers, not just this quarter, but previous quarters too. Yeah. You could argue that's kind of why we're seeing such significant discounts going into the holiday shopping season. Really quickly, though, I mean, this is a company that cut its forecast over the summer. I mean, how much of the stock pop we're seeing today has to do with lower expectations going into this quarter?
That's exactly right. There's so much of the relief, perhaps, that it's not as bad as it could have been. And when you have an environment like that, it certainly sets up for a Best Buy, at least in the shares of BBY, to be able to see some type of pop on a day where, yeah, the results, they weren't exactly astounding. It's just a matter of, yeah, this could have been way worse. And anecdotally, I've gone into Best Buy on multiple occasions, whether just looking for replacement AirPods, because my goodness, I am terrible at keeping track of those things, even though they track it on my phone anyway. But I've also gone in there for a new TV. And there are a few takeaways from those experiences. Number one, there are not a ton of people working in these Best Buy locations. And even at the one that I eventually did end up going to get a television, they weren't looking forward for the holiday staff to be coming in, because that meant that they had to teach somebody else how to do the job while also having an influx of people that were also going to be coming in to make those purchases as well here. So we'll see exactly what this holiday season holds for Best Buy.
I hear you on losing those pods. You know what they should do, Brad? They should put a tracker on your watch, right? So it'll beep. That's my solution to Tim Cook
there you go.
On the pods.